What does it mean to you that Trump yearns for the Gilded Age?
What, where we had outdoor plumbing and child labor, as you pointed out in your intro? I I'll take Novocaine and Netflix. This is just insane. I don't. We live as much as social media has convinced us to hate our country. People our age, Chris, 1 in 2 of us feel pretty good about America. Unfortunately, it's 1 in 10 among millennials and Gen Z. But if you were to survey the 159 sovereign nations in the world and ask them who they'd want to be, I bet
Mhm.
158 would vote the U.S. We're less bad. Things are less bad here than anywhere in the world. I mean, who would you want to literally, who would you want to trade places with in terms of freedoms,
Yeah.
rights, at the lowest cost ever, the lowest taxes relative to the rights and the prosperity ever in economic history. So the notion that somehow we're doing really poorly. Do we have income inequality? Do we have huge division? Do we have polarization? Absolutely. But we're the least bad place in the world right now.
You know, one of the reasons I was excited to have you on, for all you guys, I know you know who Scott is, but he has been so on and ahead of the curve about young men. And I just feel that those who voted for Trump, hoping that he would take up their cause, to hear him say, yeah, we're going to do tariffs and you got to suck it up. And, well, he doesn't really see about investment in those new jobs. And he's not about the CHIPS Act. You know, he wants to go back to the other manufacturing. I just feel like it must be such a betrayal for them to hear all this and be like, really? This is the guy's plan? He wants me to sew sneakers?
Yeah, Dave Chappelle summarized it perfectly. We want to wear Nikes, not make them. And quite
Yeah,
frankly, the
that's
Cato
it.
Institute did a study. 80% of Americans, we have this sort of romanticization of manufacturing. 80% of Americans think we need more manufacturing, but only 1 in 5 Americans have any interest in working in a plant. There aren't a lot of people lining up to work on the shop floor or at the plants in Lansing, Michigan. And we have purposely outsourced these low-wage manufacturing, dirty manufacturing jobs for high-end service, marketing, strategy, service jobs that just pay more. You'd rather be an associate at JP Morgan than working on the shop floor at General Motors. That's the bottom line.
Mm.
What the narrative that the stock market may need to go down to repair this, I can kind of empathize with that. I think if we were to raise minimum wage, if he was serious about young men, raise minimum wage to $25 an hour. This myth that all these businesses would go out of business is nothing but a myth. If minimum wage had just kept pace with productivity and inflation, it'd be at 23 to 24 bucks an hour. If we decided to make huge investments in infrastructure and create shovel-ready jobs for young people, 70% of which would go to males, and that took stocks down, fine, I get it. But this is taking the value. Apple lost the value of Walmart in 3 days. And when your parents don't have as much money, when the companies are in a state of what I'll call, unfortunately, the American brand right now suffers from what I would call toxic uncertainty. That means brands and companies are less willing to invest. And quite frankly, do you think they're hiring a lot of young people right now? Can't you imagine
Hmm.
a lot of companies are saying, we were going to interview you. We had big hiring plans, but we're going to press the pause button right now until we know what's going on. This is bad. Literally, it's hard to imagine anyone except probably the people who bought options today who maybe had inside information on his plan. This has made no sense for anybody. There are very few winners here.
Scott Galloway, my audience is a winner because they got to hear your perspective. The Pivot podcast with Kara Swisher. Just go online, spend a little time, and find what Scott Galloway is doing. You will be better for it. Thank you for doing me the favor of your appearance tonight. I appreciate you. Dinner on me.
Thank you, my friend.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.